Tonight on Dateline, the story of a religious cult, the death of its leader, her mummified body preserved in a makeshift shrine and discovered here in Colorado, in the small town of Crestone in Saguache County. This group was called Love Has Won. Its leader was Leah Carlson, known to them as Mother of God. Today, we have Dateline's Keith Morrison joining us to tell us more ahead of Dateline tonight. Hi, Keith. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is a very strange story, this one.
It sure is. We have a cult. We have a mummified body. I can understand what drew you into this case. I'm curious, what were you hoping to find out when you started looking into it?
Well, you know, I've always been infinitely curious about these kinds of organizations and what drives them and what makes people believe the sorts of messages that they put out, although the messages are somewhat incoherent. And so we wanted to take a kind of a deep dive to see what this group was all about, what Amy Carlson, aka Mother God, what her background is, what her story was, where she came from. And the answers to the questions that we got were, you know, illuminating for sure. But it's such an unusual story that we were able to follow. And discovered things about these people that I think people will find very interesting indeed. It also kind of gives you an idea of how individuals who are otherwise very bright, you know, bright, successful people get wrapped up in notions and ideas that are just beyond the pale, just very strange.
Tonight, we're going to hear for the first time from this woman's family, former members of this cult. I'm curious what you think our viewers will be so interested about those conversations and what these people are telling you.
Well, just the story itself and how things transpired is fascinating. I mean, there's both drama and, quite frankly, unintentional comedy in this story. But, you know, from the family, you hear about the kinds of frustration families feel when someone goes astray and they don't know why and they don't know where they're going to wind up. And from those who did join this group, what drove them to join it? What was their thinking? What led them down that path? And how did they get back out again? Which is, you know, not necessarily an easy thing to do. And there are still groups, you know, that they've moved on and they've split up, as often these quasi-religious groups will do, into different, you know, different named organizations with some members from one side of it going one way, members from the other side going another way. So we can follow all of these things, and it's just absolutely riveting, I find.
A part of the story takes us to Colorado, where her body was found.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you can tell our viewers a little bit about how this Colorado connection plays into what we're going to see tonight. This small town, what they did or didn't know about what was going on.
I find Crestone, Colorado to be absolutely fascinating. It's a tiny, tiny place, but it has a rich history going back, not that far, but back into the 70s when it was established as a sort of I don't know, an outpost of unusual religious or alternative religions. There are ashrams there. There's a Buddhist temple. There's a really lovely Buddhist shrine there. There is a ziggurat. There is a UFO tower. A lot of people with unusual views about the nature of reality and the universe who have taken up residence there and who have been encouraged to do so by the people who virtually owned the land. That is where this group came. They were back and forth a lot, but that was kind of a home base. And that's where the body was taken. Mother God didn't die there, but that's where they set up a shrine, I think hoping that she would be taken up into wherever, the fifth dimension from that location.
This is such a fascinating story. We so appreciate you coming on today to give us a little sneak peek ahead tonight. And you can watch Dateline tonight at 8 o'clock right here on 9 News. Keith, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.